Hi there, I'm April Callis-Birchmeier, and I wanted to talk with you today about the future of HR and how it depends on leading change. This is a topic that I know some of my HR professional friends may not be that excited about hearing. I wanted to share it though because I think it's important to talk about. I'm April Callis-Birchmeier. I'm a certified change management professional, master change management professional, and project management professional. And I've worked with a lot of HR professionals and in HR adjacent functions in organizations for more than 25 years. And I really am looking and thinking about how HR, human resources, will operate in the future now that we have AI. And now that we know change management is so people focused, and many of the initiatives we're talking about are change initiatives. So let's kind of start from the beginning and talk a little bit about the human resource function and change management functions and how they kind of interact and intersect in an organization. So, human resources is to do with all of our humans who are resources to the business, right? And I think a lot of times human resources sounds a little clinical, but human resources simply is talking about the people who do the work and how do we, you know, uh, do talent acquisition? How do we recruit and have people join us to do the work? How do we pay those people? What are the benefits they need? And then HR ends up being kind of responsible for everything that is somewhat people related. And so I wanted to just reflect on that for a moment, because change management is very people focused, as you know. Change management is the structured approach to helping an organization, meaning the structures and policies and pieces that need to be in place, making an organization and its people adopt change more quickly, more easily, just to adopt the change so that we can be in a different state. We have a current state, we have a future state. And so moving into the from the current state to the future state in a structured way is change management. However, we can do change management on the organization side in terms of thinking about structure, reporting lines, how we change workflow, how we bring systems into the workflow to do the work that people are currently doing. But then the other piece of it is how do we help the people change their skill set and their mindset to be able to adopt change? Because we have to both have new skills to do new types of work, and we have to have a new, different mindset to be able to understand our role as people in the organization now that this change has been implemented. So, when I think about those two pieces, I can see, and I hope you can see, why it's so critically important for human resource professionals to focus on change management skills because HR professionals know a lot about helping people change mindsets and skill sets. They absolutely have the skills in their area, but I think sometimes something happens in HR where it starts to become very focused on the organizational structure, on the systems and the processes. And so I think for me, that's an important differentiation. Like I want to um, have change management professionals not focusing 100% on the organizational structure because we know the mindset and the skill set has to change. So there are things that, as an HR professional, if that's the area you're in, should know about organizational change management and about how to help people move from that current state to the future state and adopt a new mindset. So let's talk a little bit about that. When I think about adopting a new mindset, it reminds me of New Year's Eve resolutions, right? We sort of promise ourselves on December 31st every year that next year we're going to build new habits, and these will be healthy habits, such as exercise or eating well, or maybe productivity habits. We're going to get up an hour earlier and do some reading and reflection and journaling before we work. And then after about a week or so, we start to lose some of these habits. Now, I have to admit, I have been successful with some New Year's Eve resolutions at times, but I don't feel like I've ever been successful at maintaining them for an entire year. And that is because it's difficult to change a habit, and it's difficult to maintain new behaviors over time when our comfort is calling us, when our comfort is saying, come on back and stay in bed another hour. So it's important to recognize that change management is dealing both with that organizational structure and also with the people mindset and skill set shift. And so that requires training and conversation, um, maybe even some skill set training, some mindset shifting. And to shift a mindset, it's not always easy, even when we have good intentions. So when we don't have maybe the uh, the eve of the new year facing us, it's even more difficult to shift the way we think about our work and our mindset toward our work, to shift how we recognize our responsibilities. And it's deeper than some of the human resource tasks that many of my colleagues do. Many HR professionals are very engaged in working with people, but even those who work specifically in coaching or professional development find that they have a lot of administrative weight to their work. And so they don't always have the time that they need to really interact with people and work through some of these challenges with them. So, how do you change your, or increase, I'd say, how do you increase your change management or change capabilities if you're an HR professional? I think it's important to consider why you should increase your change management capability. I think the why is exactly what I've been talking about. We know that AI is coming into the workplace more frequently and is taking on some of that administrative weight of HR functions, right? Screening resumes more quickly, maybe vetting candidates, and keeping that human in the loop. We know is critical so that we can ensure that we have quality and that we also have a humanity check. What is, I think, a little bit less, a little more hidden, I'll say it that way, is this need, this human need to be recognized and be seen for who we are and to be understood. And that can only come from a human. No matter how many AI boyfriends or girlfriends may be out in the world right now, only humans can really share humanity with each other. And that's a big difference. And that's why we need HR professionals to start to move into change management, where we're going through human change, where we are helping humans to shift their thinking, behavior, and skills. And so when I think about this, helping our human, excuse me, helping our friends, helping our colleagues, helping those that work for us and work with us, when we're helping human beings to move into a changed environment and to adopt that change and make it successful, it's important to build those change management capabilities within HR professionals to ensure that they have that understanding and structure to be able to lead people through change, that they know how to assess the impact of change, evaluate how it will affect the organization and the people in the organization, and to assess how ready the organization and its people are to adapt the change. Then we know there's strategic thinking that has to happen around how do we want to um, approach this change? What is it that we're after as an outcome? And how do we structure the work that we're doing to make sure we get there? Third, then we're moving into our planning phase. Planning for resource allocation, communications, sponsorship communications, sponsor activities and visibility, stakeholder engagement and feedback loops, and then focusing on developing great training that's helpful to people to learn new skills, and then thinking about that mindset shift. Finally, making sure that everybody understands the why of this change so that we can all engage in it together, that we understand why we're doing it, and we're doing it for that purpose. So if you are an HR professional or moving in that direction, I would suggest building your change management skill capability. And you might think, well, how do I do that? Well, that's a great question. You can build your HR capabilities by adding change management skills through courses, through training, through coaching. I coach a lot of project sponsors who are looking for a way to understand and to know what to do and when to do it to make change easier for their people and to make it more clear what it is that we're talking about, what we're doing. So I do work with leaders of projects. I work with the sponsors sometimes of the projects. And many times HR is assisting in change work. There may be some, job role reorganization or reassignments even based on the change. And the important piece is to recognize that there are ways for HR to also start to become very engaged with focusing on the strategy and the preparedness and the readiness, frankly, of the organization. If you are a change management professional and you want to learn how to lead change, I do have a course that begins on September 21st, and it is a 3.5-week course that will give you 21 hours of credit for your change management certification. So even if you're not ready to become a certified change management professional, becoming involved in our course can help you understand and learn the framework to help people move through change and to be very effective and to build your own change management path within your organization where you know you're needed. You know there's not going to be less change anytime soon. So really leaning into the change management frameworks and learning how to lead change effectively is a great career move. So you earn your 21 hours with this training, and maybe then you begin to do some change management work, and you can use that 21 hours to apply for your certified change management professional certification in a number of years. Usually you have to have 3 to 5 years of working in change management. But I have to say that much of what HR does is the type of work that we do in change management, creating communications and ensuring we have plans in place to deliver the professional development tools and skills that people need to be able to adopt change effectively. So there's a lot of opportunity for HR professionals. I want those who are in HR to recognize that the future of HR and your future in HR really depends on whether or not you know how to lead change and how to help people move through change, how to get people through the difficulty of adoption and then sustaining that change. So that change is sustained. It becomes our operating procedures. It becomes how we do business until inevitably we have the next change. So if you're interested, please reach out to me. I would love to talk with you. I'd love to share more with you. I would love to have you in our cohort, which begins on September 23rd or 21st, and it ends on October 12th. And we have 3.5 weeks of 21 hours of qualified education provider training around how to lead change. It's called Ready, Set, Change, Accelerated Training and Exam Prep. And when you complete that course, you'll receive a certificate for completion of the course that you will receive your 21 hours of credits. Excuse me. And you can use those 21 hours for project management certification, HR certification, or change management certification, or all three. So I just want to make sure you are aware that you can reach out to me, use me as a resource. I'd be happy to talk. And if you're interested in joining us, if you are ready to join Ready, Set, Change, let me know, because we'd love to see you there. Take care.